Let's look at the Solution folder in the File Explorer again. Notice that the Packages folder is inside of the Solution folder instead of the Projects folder. The packages are dependencies of the JSON to DB project, but they're stored outside of the project folder. This is because it's common for multiple projects inside of a solution to depend on the same NuGet packages. When working with Entity Framework, it's common to have all of the code that models the database in its own assembly. That way, it can be used in other applications that also want to work with the database. Let's add a class library project to our solution and name it Database Models. And because this project will need access to the database, let's add a reference to Entity Framework in it as well. We could right-click on References and click Add Reference and then browse to the Entity Framework assemblies in the Packages folder, but that would be a bad idea for many reasons. It's far better to let NuGet handle this for us. We can add Entity Framework to the Database Models project the same way we did with the JSON to DB project, and that would be perfectly fine. But I want to show you another way that has a couple of advantages. If we right-click on the solution name in the Solution Explorer, we can see a menu item that says Manage NuGet Packages for Solution. It opens up a tab in the main workspace that looks a lot like the NuGet window we've been using. But it isn't. See, the other one is still open here. This allows us to manage the NuGet packages for all the projects in a solution from a single window. Let's say we wanted to add common.logging to both of our projects. We can select it, and then over here, we can click on the checkboxes for both the projects and click Install. This time, the confirmation dialog shows us that we're adding these assemblies to both projects. Notice that down here, the details of the package are still shown. We just need to scroll down a little. Click on Installed to see all of the packages used by the solution. I'll need to click on this X here to clear out the search query. Entity Framework is already installed into the JSON to DB project, so if we want to have it installed into the Database Models project, we can select it here and then click the checkbox for Database Models and click Install. Now let's say that our Database Models class library encapsulates everything that we want to do with Entity Framework well enough that we don't need to have a dependency to it in both projects. We can make sure that the JSON to DB project is the only project clicked here, and then click Uninstall. Notice that the Entity Framework configuration block is still in app.config. This we have to remove manually. It doesn't hurt anything to have it here, but it's something to be aware of. When working with a solution that has multiple projects, I encourage you to get in the habit of managing NuGet packages for the entire solution. The reason for this is because it helps to identify where projects may be using different versions of the same library. Having projects that are dependencies of each other that are using different versions of the same library can be problematic. Say, for example, we installed version 8.0.7 of Newtonsoft.json in Database Models, and then a newer version was released. After the newer version was released, we added it to JSON to DB. So now JSON to DB is using the newer version. If we manage the NuGet packages per project, we might not see this disparity right away. The NuGet packages for Solution window has an extra section called Consolidate. This tells us how many different versions of a package are being used in the projects of a solution. We can use this to decide which version we want to use across all the projects and update them accordingly.